Okay, apparently, and then okay, I think we're live. Let me just go to YouTube and see if my if it's up here or not, and see if this is working.
Let me check on my end.
Video. I linked it to my YouTube, so it should be.
It does look like it's live.
Okay, let me just view it on YouTube. Excuse me. Sorry, everybody. It's not getting over COVID. Okay, I can see us. Cool. I'll go ahead and post them into the chat about Okay, and then I'll just share this out there, and we'll get it going. What's your Twitter handle again?
At kwillywrites. I have it as my StreamYard's profile. I'm not sure if that shows on the stream or not.
There we go. I just tagged you in the live post.
Yeah, I just tweeted it as well, so we gave the audience some lovely dead air while we
absolutely
while we did that.
Good. Let me do one more save with this real quick, and then we'll. Come join the chat. Okay. Get a few minutes.
I see it on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Do you mind if I introduce myself? Because no one's going to know me. All right. So let me really quickly introduce myself. I am Kyle. I'm a former teacher, and I went on sort of a crazy Hayek to Rothbard pipeline in 2020.
Nice.
And so I was working on my master's degree. I actually left teaching to work on that full time, and then basically read too much while I was getting my master's degree. And so I went down sort of the Rothbard rabbit hole because I've always been interested in economics. My background is in English, and I'm a semi-professional writer, as my Twitter handle may or may not indicate. But I went down the Rothbard pipeline. Actually, I started with Man, Economy, and State because when I was young, I'd read Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. And, it's an interesting book. I enjoyed it, but I thought, really from a basic standpoint, this doesn't teach me anything about economics. It's not a general treatise on economics. And so I looked up basically what is the best modern treatise on economics. And I knew from I'd read a lot of like Thomas Sowell and stuff like that, but Sowell doesn't really do general economics. Like he does have a book on economics, but it's very basic.
It is basic economics.
Not to diminish Sowell because he's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one of the best. If there is any good conservative, he's the guy.
Yeah, but he's certainly better than Friedman.
Yeah. Oh my God, so much better.
I first checked out Friedman after Rothbard, and that anecdote about Mises, I think it was saying to Friedman, "You're just a socialist."
Yeah,
and it's like,
Mises and Rand's hatred of Friedman is my favorite thing about either of them.
That is 100% correct. It's like, look at it, it's like negative income tax, and it's like, that just sounds like socialism.
even Milton Friedman's old son, David Friedman, called his dad a socialist. His son is more based than he is.
Yeah, was that at Porkfest?
I think it was.
I feel like someone came out to him during Porkfest and just said that, and it's like, well, he was. It's just
For all
Okay.
of David Friedman's
Yeah.
problems, for all of his anarchism and arguments about anarchism and stuff, I have qualms with. He is more based than his dad, and that is something.
Yeah.
I did a similar thing during his last COVID year. I was Trump voter, Joe Jorgensen, found Tom Woods, and from Tom Woods found Rothbard. I read Rothbard before I read Mises, so now I'm going Mises,
same.
Rothbard, Hopper. Yeah, and I've been going deep into Hopper lately, and he's good. But Rothbard too. I mean, incredible.
Hopper is very interesting. I don't consider myself a Hoppian, even though, I mean, I can. I'm in agreement on private law. And maybe depending on how you frame it, covenant communities. I don't think that's exactly how I'd define it. In the sense of I would see something with much looser borders and more like neighborhood level distinctions. So it's like in this neighborhood we follow this set of rules in the same way that like you might follow different rules at work than at home. So you don't need one set of law for a whole society. But I sort of like that model. Yeah. And then there are things I just totally disagree with Hoppe on. But I read Rothbard and then Mises, and I think it's actually kind of a shame because if you read Human Action, man, Mises is savage.
Yeah, I'm reading it now, and the fact that you could tell English wasn't his first language, and like there's a point where he's like talking about like he's proven a economic myth wrong, and he's saying like most people say well, this myth was disproven or this economic lie was shown to be untrue. Mises would write something like this lie was exploded, and you're just like yes, bring it, Mises, just read it. I love him. I love reading Mises.
There's a quote in Mises where I forget what it is. I'm gonna pull up my Facebook page that I never use because I shared it on Facebook and it might be recent enough in my stream that I can find it again. But he just basically says something like every socialist has the seed of a murderer within them or something like that. Just like something like incredibly
behind every socialist is a dictator or something. Like he was no, I don't think anybody went more hard on socialists than Mises did. Like Mises went hard. If you read Economic Calculation Problems, or you read the Socialism, or you read Marxism on Maths, or my favorite one, Life and Property, at one point he literally asked, "What would Marx have done?" And like you could almost read a mocking tone into it. Like he is this, Mises is probably one of my favorite people ever to live. I love Mises. Excuse me. Again, sorry everybody. I'm getting over COVID and I still got a bit of a lingering cough here. But thinking about trying to get the Delta variant, try to get it again so they can beat it faster. COVID speed one,
Yeah.
Take a shortcut, get the ivermectin.
I'm trying to find the Mises quote, and I cannot find it for the life of me. But yeah, I when I was reading, I just basically copied a whole section and posted it on Facebook, and somehow I did not get banned for it.
Nice. Oh
yes, every socialist calls only that system a genuinely socialist system in which these conditions are completely fulfilled. All other brands claiming the name of socialism are counterfeit systems entirely different from true socialism. Every socialist is a disguised dictator. Woe to all dissenters. They have forfeited their right to live and must be liquidated. And it's just like, holy crap. This is much, much more hardcore than people give him credit for.
Oh, yeah.
Because as someone who got into Austrian economics through Hayek, it's really weird then to see Mises and then wonder like, well, how did Hayek wind up here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is definitely like you read. I'm just now reading Road to Serfdom for the first time, and I'm enjoying it. But then you go actually looking at some of the things Hayek would say or propose. Like, oh, you were better at economics than you were on liberty. Like he's honestly, I don't think when you have Mises, Rothbard, and Hopper to read, and there's so much like Thomas De Lorenzo and Tom Woods and Bob Murphy to read, it's kind of like why read? I don't think there's a good reason to read Hayek, honestly. Well, unless you're going to be an economist, then maybe.
Well, and I feel like Hayek is like Locke also. Like they don't really miss on anything. Like there are very few things they're objectively wrong on. but they never follow things to their conclusion. Like Locke's talking about how there's like no legitimate universal sovereign authority, but the king. And it's like, well, how do you determine a righteous king? And he's like, if you don't take up armed rebellion against them, they're a righteous king. And if you take up armed rebellion against them, you forfeit your rights. And it's like, really?
Yeah. That's all the answer. Okay, well, I think we got 3 people in the chat. I think cool. Gold Guy is here. Gold Guy, how you doing, man? Give me a hell yeah in the chat or something, Gold Guy. For someone who I talk to a lot, I consider a friend now, I don't know what his first name is, and it's kind of weird. Think people, everybody. This Saturday, I will be doing a podcast with Gold Guy and Kevin Burns about objectivist epistemology and philosophy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's not going to be live, so you're probably going to get it Monday. So everyone subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get ready for that one, because that's going to be a deep conversation I cannot wait for. Okay, let's do some reading. We're going to read some of The Gray Mirror, Uncle Yarv, Number 0, Dating Call by Curtis Yarvin. Have you read this piece at all? Kay? Kay.
I literally first read it in its entirety 15 minutes ago.
I read it yesterday, and I can't get over how much I love it. I absolutely love it. This is live reading. Here we go. Friends, I think it's time to admit the pretext behind these Uncle Yarv posts. While all my public and private advice is perfectly sincere, and I believe even good, and everyone who is still waiting for an email will get one, I swear. Obviously, the series is nothing but a giant personal ad done with the usual gray mirror megalomania. I like to think myself as an empathic megalomaniac. I love Yarvin's writing. It's so personable. His writing feels like it's a text.
I have a friend who's like in college. He was like a math physics double major, and it's like very high linguistic ability and very social and everything, but yet very idiosyncratic. And that's what I think of every time I see Yarvin's writing. I don't see it so much when he's like speaking. And I say that I've really only listened to 4 or 5 interviews he's done. There were 1 or 2 with Michael Malice, and then a couple with other people.
You watched the Tucker Carlson one yet? I have
not.
I finished it today. I think it's his best interview. Like, he is I'm someone who reads him and watches him, and he still blows me away. He'll say things I've heard him say before, and I'm just like, again, I'm still impressed. Like, you say the same thing again. I'm like, yep, he's right.
I saw it, and he looked like a nerd, and it's just like, I'm sorry, for some reason, like peak nerd Curtis Yarvin versus like mentions Moldbug, like
the hair,
blogging.
Man. When he had like the hair here, it wasn't so bad. But when he has the long like locks, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I love him. So the next line is I have to explain why. Despite my excellent reverse advice on I don't know how to pronounce her name, sorry. From Port Moresby. Hardly the only place I have heard the same message. I would start publicly dating at 48. Exactly 5 months of my life for 20 years unexpectedly passed away. It's simple. When she was first diagnosed, I promised that I would replace her. Let's hold up on that line. That's a very weird way to phrase it, and I absolutely love it. It's like your wife's on your bed dying. She's like, "Don't worry, babe. I will replace you."
Well, and the best thing about this is, like, if you read it as someone who, I mean, like, I don't really follow Yarvin all that much. I know people call him like post-Hoppian, Rothbardian, like seer or something, and I do have some respect for him. and everything. I just don't really agree with most of what he says. It's like, oh, it's like Rothbard read Burnham, and it's like Rothbard did read Burnham, like, or at least it's pretty clear to me he did, because he does the power elite analysis, so it's like, I don't necessarily agree with the way he takes a lot of things, but at the same time, it's like, you can see this, and you just see like the people who like him understand like exactly what was going on, like especially if you've read one of the few things I've actually read from him was let's see, what did he title the post? The sort of eulogy he wrote for his wife. And so when you see that, it changes the context of this statement. And so it's like, from that, it's like, you almost get the impression that like she told him like, hey, you're going to have to move on at some point, And from this, it's like machine robot. Like,
all I could think of is, isn't he Jewish, and all the people would say the Jews will not replace us? Like, I just that's how my brain draws these connections. It's like, he's Jewish, he's gonna replace us.
I don't know. Like, I always wonder like how deep people like reference stuff, because like I know sometimes when I write, I will be like deeply referential in my work, and so I'll have stuff, but I also wonder if it's just like programmer brain almost.
Yeah, if you talk to anyone who's like a really good like programmer, computer science dude, you kind of get, oh, these people aren't, they're wired different. Like, they are wired different than how you and I are wired. And
yeah, it's like
if
wife equals 0, wife plus plus, it's like, okay,
I'm convinced they literally see the world as a bunch of ones and zeros. Like, they really just comprehend differently. It's amazing.
And it's like, if you see the eulogy he wrote, I mean, he wrote a poem for her and everything. It's like,
I haven't read the eulogy, so we have to hop on and read that one after the dating call.
It's like you don't get the same like vibe from him after that. Like, that's like probably the longest thing from him that I'd read, as far as like actually reading through it. Because oftentimes when I see Yarvin stuff, I'll like read a few sentences and it's like, yeah, I'm not reading this. But so when you read that, you see like, oh, this isn't like, this is something that is a challenge for him, probably. Because I mean, I do think I don't think anyone could look at Curtis Yarvin and say he didn't love his wife.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's, pretty obvious that he's going through. And especially like some of the way he like responded to COVID, and he's like, I think we should be like paying people to test the vaccines back in January last year, which, I mean, admittedly, I don't have a moral quandary with. I just think it's really like interesting.
I mean, listen, I'd take $20 to take a experimental vaccine. I mean, I'm not gonna take it to tell me to take it, but he offered me money for it. We have a different conversation.
Well, and especially it's like, compensate people and give them liability and get the testing started 4 weeks into the pandemic instead of waiting, 12 months, before it's out. It's like, why? It's like, also from like sort of the libertarian perspective, it's like, I would never encourage anyone to take heroin, but I also wouldn't stop someone if they really wanted to. It's like, that's not,
man. Heroin is the shit. Like, if you're in the chat, all two people go guy. I'm telling you, go guy. You're in London. That city sucks. Go get. You're not in London. You're in England or Ireland or something. Whatever. The EU sucks. Go get some. Go get some heroin.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Exactly.
Don't actually get heroin unless you're in the EU. You're in the EU. I don't care what you do.
Well, I mean, didn't Ron Paul have something once where he said something like, I believe heroin should be legal? And this was like back in the 90s, and the crowd was booing him. And he's like, well, if heroin were legal, is there anyone in this room right now who would start doing it just because it was legal?
Yeah. It was my favorite part. That same experience, same room, I think he was, this guy was yelling about, like, you want people to do heroin. And he's like, the government can't make you a better person. You're a little overweight. Why don't they put you on a diet? Like, Ron Paul is so nice. And because he's so nice and so like a nice guy, seeing him kind of like get upset and lose it on it, dude, you're like, oh no, he could be mean. Like, Ron Paul could probably you. It's no problem.
Like, listening to like Ron Paul speaking by himself in a vacuum, it's like you would. I mean, he literally sounds like any conservative, just slightly better on like libertarian principles.
Yeah,
but like hearing him in a debate, he will savage people.
He was like,
You know,
why'd they call him a fake? Because he's a fake. Like, it's just, I love him.
Yeah.
Like, I still like, I wasn't paying attention to politics during his election time. Like, sadly, I missed all of it. So kind of like going back and watching these clips now after he's been like elevated to like god level by all the fans. It's like, oh no, I get it. He deserves that because he's awesome.
Yeah, no, like so much. So interesting sometimes to see, like looking back historically, how different people seem now than they were then. Like, because I remember when he talked about like blowback in 9/11 and it was a scandal. Which, I mean, coincidentally, I wasn't offended by at the time, even though I was still, I mean, I say Republican. I've never really felt Republican, but I've always sort of voted Republican because, you know, lesser evil. Though Michael Malice has maybe changed my mind on that a little. But the thing that's really interesting is like looking at, you know, just really how unafraid Ron Paul has ever been to say anything. And it's like, that is, you know, we need more people like that.
Yeah.
Even if they're wrong, who are just going to come out and say things like, look, maybe this.
Well, keep in mind, this is what my set was for, because I think I'm constantly wrong, but I would say the first thing that pops in my mind. This is a brilliant mixture of ADHD and zero regrets.
Well, and I mean, part of the thing now is, unfortunately, with the internet, anything you do wrong lives forever.
Oh yeah, I recently had to delete my Facebook because I kept getting those memories pop up, and I'm like, cringe, delete. Like, I think I deleted my entire Facebook because I said so many boomer memes, dude. Oh my gosh.
As someone who is a former neocon, though admittedly I stopped being a neocon like after John McCain, and after that it was just Republicans are the lesser evil. But as someone who's a former neocon, occasionally I see stuff and I just think, oh no, like that that Net7 guy who counter protested the end of the war protests.
I didn't see that. What happened there?
Oh gosh!
Did the end the damn wars protest get a counter protester?
Yes, they have one in Scottsdale, I believe.
I would have loved to have seen that. Would have been
and it's
awesome.
Like the best way to describe it is he was dressed kind of like Black Bloc Antifa, only if Black Bloc were like a muddle of red, white, and blue.
I gotta see if I find a photo of this. Let me see if I can.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I think he blocked me, unfortunately. But let me see if I can find it, because it was the most surreal thing I've ever seen. Let me.
I'm scrolling through the end of the damn wars Twitter page.
I am not blocked. I am not blocked. I'll send you the link in StreamYard.
Send me the link. I gotta see this.
It is the most surreal thing ever. And it's just absolutely like peak cursed. You know, just like standing out with an Afghan flag, no less. Being like, why aren't we bombing Afghanistan anymore? And it's like, yeah, no, and I mean, literally, like, it looks like the logo that he uses is based off of the Antifa flag, and it's like got a neocon action theme, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
You said you're posting this
in StreamYard in the chat.
Okay,
it is the most cursed thing you will ever see.
I can't see it. Did you post it yet, or
in the StreamYard chat? Did it not go through?
I'm looking. I don't think so. No, I don't.
Let me see if I can.
Here, private chat. Private chat. I got it. Okay. Let's bring this photo. Let's bring these photos up here, and I'll say on new screen.
It's like
so everyone here can see it.
Maximally cursed.
Okay, Chrome tab. Say. Okay. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Anti-war equals pro-genocide. Does this dude do nothing but watch like? Oh, he is. He's a fan of Kevin. That neocon loser. Kevin Castley. Yeah, that Canadian fuck.
Yeah, no, it's the most
anti-war equals pro-genocide. Oh my gosh!
it's the most
Look at him.
cursed. It literally reminds me of like have you read Rothbard's The Betrayal of the American Right? I believe it is.
Yeah. I'm having a
and it talks about
about it.
It talks about all the like slurs against like the anti-war faction.
Yeah.
Who I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if there were ever a good war, probably would have been World War II. And there are people who are going to blue pilled for that. But
I don't know.
The
World
whole
War
thing
II,
about World
I
War
am
II is World War II was only necessary because of our intervention in World War One. You know, it's like if we had not intervened, the Second War would not have happened. And so it's like the Second War happened because we intervened in World War One. And it's like, well, you know, it's like it's still bad. Like we shouldn't have been in it. But it's like if you did want to actually be somewhat suspicious of the anti-war factions, like yes, maybe some of them were like actual like communists and fascists, but also like you know, a lot of them were actually principled and properly understood, like, you know, this war is, you know, like in the end, whenever you come back from war, you just see that it's futile. You know, there's no such thing as a good war.
Okay, let's hop back into the live reading here. Let's get this Moldbug reading going.
We will get there eventually.
Eventually. This is two libertarian people talking. It's bound to have some sidebars. There you go. I promised her I would replace her. I don't see any reason to delay that. Anyway, I just wound up dating someone anyway. Sacrificing my widower virginity, which is indeed more sacred than I realized. Once it's gone, however, it's gone. Virginity is like that. Okay, let's talk about that for a little bit. Widower virginity. Have you ever heard that line before? Never heard anyone refer to widower or divorcee virginity. Like there's the one. I've never heard of the other kind.
As a somewhat professional writer, I have a hard time overlooking the "and anyway." I just wound up dating someone anyway. Proofread. Get one of those apps that will proofread for you. You know, like it's not. Though I will say, since I do have a Substack, Substack does not work well with like inline grammar stuff. I don't know why it just doesn't support it. Which is kind of a pain in the butt because then you're pasting stuff over and making sure it formats correctly. But watch those double anyways. But no, I do see, like, I'm not really a relationship guru or anything, but I do see the whole, like, if you're a widower and you're getting back into the scene, you know, like, that's something where, like, you know, there's sort of two ways that goes. Like, you do it once and it goes badly and you just resolve never again. Or you just keep going until you find someone new. You know, like those are sort of the two ways it goes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do get that. I find it kind of weird that he's, especially knowing that it's Curtis Yarvin, who's notoriously, like, not private per se.
No.
But just very much not who we would expect to see posting relationship stuff on his blog.
Yeah, I can't tell if he's in a good place or not. Because someone who would post that is either really, really autistic and like doesn't know how to like. It's like Adam. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but is a libertarian dude, Adam something. His sugar daddy profile. It's like you only write something like that if you're really like can't read social cues and just don't get society.
Well,
and I can't tell because Moldbug is a really smart dude, but also kind of like that. And so I don't know if this is like sarcasm or legitimate, or if he's in a good place or not. Like I read this and I'm kind of worried for the guy. It's like, it's like something a hosty guy would post.
Yeah, well, the thing that I wonder is if it's like one of those things where, I think it's like Michael Malice has this idea of the like 105 IQ person, the like slightly above midwit.
Yeah,
115. 115, who like insists on doing things in a way that seems very smart, but if you're average or more above average than the person who's a little above average, you see why it doesn't work. And so for me, it's like, what's the most powerful thing in the world? Well, it's the free market. Let's apply that to dating. And let's solve the information problem by making my blog a dating profile. Yeah. And it's like,
I mean, it's practical, but it's like, this is, again, this is how a computer programmer will look at the world. This is how a computer programmer would go.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the thing is, like, as tempting as it is to sort of knock him for it because it's unusual, I mean, like, who am I to cast the first stone of, relationship advice, given that I'm not great at relationships? But it does seem like it's very unusual the way it like, and maybe that works. Like one of the things that makes the free market so great is you can do these totally unusual things that no one expects, and that winds up working. Like, not gonna lie, like if this works out for Curtis Yarvin someday, don't tell me
you're gonna post this on your Substack.
I might do it on my Substack.
We're gonna see a dating advice from Kay.
I say that mostly as a joke, in part because
I honestly hope you do it though, because I think that'd be absolutely hilarious. Because then I could do a live reading of you.
Yeah, well, but part of the thing also is like his relationship with his wife, because he wrote the eulogy and everything, has become very public.
Yeah,
and so it's like, well, maybe this is the sort of thing where almost once you're in this spot, and maybe the reason why we think it's weird is because we hang out in the sort of corners of the internet where people are posting political philosophy on their Substacks. And maybe like if you were looking at like slice of life blogs, which were like giant for like a decade and a half, but I was always a little bit jealous back when I was writing more seriously and trying to blog, that those got all the attention, because I don't really feel like sharing my life that same way. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe these like slice of life people have been doing that all along, and we're just blind to it because we're in our bubble of like quote unquote serious blogging. And then we have people who are doing these like things that to us seem crazy, but maybe it works for them. I mean, how different is it really than going to OkCupid?
Very different.
Well, but I mean, in a sense, it's almost like a DIY dating app.
If he went to Craigslist, it'd be more believable. Then you can at least be like, okay, he's posting an ad. The people who don't know him, you have to subscribe to the Substack. So in essence, because people aren't going to say this one particularly, he's asking his own group of audience, "Hey, are there any hot singers in my audience?" Like, he didn't post this publicly; he posted it to the people who follow him on Substack. So this is a lot more privately targeted. I think it's say it, I think everyone can see it, but
I mean, I don't follow him. I see it. So I mean, it's not
because of the memes,
just private.
Because it became a meme, basically. Like, it's excuse me. COVID. Hold up. My phone's blowing up. I posted a poll earlier on Twitter, and now it's kind of blowing up a little bit. I posted, who was more right-wing, Hansem and Hopper or Curtis Yarvin.
Yeah,
And
still winning, right?
Hopper is still winning, but the comments are saying I got more comments for Yarvin. People are articulating more reasons, but Hopper is winning by numbers. I don't have an answer. I posted a poll because I couldn't figure it out myself. Because I was really trying to figure it out, and it's like I don't know. One of the best arguments is that Curtis Yarvin rejected libertarianism because it wasn't gonna succeed, and so that was one of people's arguments for why it was more right wing. And it's like I can maybe see that argument, but still, I'm gonna wait to see.
To wade even further into controversy, so like people are saying that Yarvin is right wing, and again, I'm not super familiar with Yarvin, but I sort of view it the same as like the people who argue Evola is right wing, and it's like
who is
Evola, and it's like I don't see him as a right winger. It's like he's sort of like right wing branding on not distinctively right wing stuff.
Well, it's like the problem is all modern right wing in this country is pretty left. I mean, the neocons are basically Trotskyists, which is kind of left wing.
Exactly.
And so when you see like Hopper or Curtis Yarvin or these like legit right wing people, you really don't know where to place them because they're like on an actual political compass. They're the most right wing people there are. But by people who actually are active in politics and like the pundits, these guys don't place anywhere on the map, which is why they're so much fun to read because you really don't know. Outside the norm.
Well, and I would make the argument that a lot of right and left is basically seating arrangement anyway. Not that there aren't qualities, but a lot of people look at that seating arrangement and they say, well, we're going to look at where people prefer to sit. And so they're going for, well, if these people really prefer to sit here versus sitting elsewhere. Well, I mean, I would argue that Rothbard, for instance, is very right-wing. If you define right-wing as tying into historical political thought, like if you, like, in my opinion, like pretty much the furthest right-wing you can get is like Erich von Kahnelt-Liddell, who was like blatantly like bring back the aristocracy, like reactionary against fascism. Like, so like when you,
my metric for right wing is a lot of people use a hierarchy. I really think it's order. Like, how do you actually aspire to one order, and how do you want to achieve it, or do you really don't like the idea of order at all and you want chaos? Because for me, the left is chaos. Like the way they go about things, the way they want things, their egalitarianism, their rejection of hierarchies and family structures. That is straight up chaos, and they want chaos. And for me, it's all about order. Like, it's those who want order are right wing, which is why I think the monarchists are sometimes more right wing than the ANCAPs, because they are much more of a structured order than the unstructured order of, I don't know, ordered chaos. I guess I don't know how to describe it.
Though at the same time, one could argue that that's sort of where Yarvin deviates from like Rothbard, is going back towards sort of the idea of a monarch.
If you're gonna read any Yarvin, Mises to Carlyle is a 3-part thing he did, I think. Very good. All about why I used to be a Carlinian or Carlyian. I can't say it. And now I'm a Cessian. And he's like, Mises is always right. He says Rothbard is also almost always right, but takes it a little too far. And Mises is never going to tell you a economic policy is immoral. He's going to tell you that the intended outcomes are not what they're going to achieve. It's a very good piece, and it's one of my personal favorites from Yarvin. Mises Moldbug at the time when he wrote it. Anyway, back to the dating call, because I only have a few more. I only have about 20 more minutes in this, and we'll gotta get through this.
All right. I'll stop sidebarring.
No, it's all good. Where was I at?
Also because I think
here it is. Also, because I think life should come out of death, I do want to meet someone with childbearing AIDS. I can't. I still laugh at that line. Childbearing AIDS. Let's think. I think yes. How old is Curtis Yarvin? Let me look this up real quick. How old is Curtis Yarvin? Curtis Yarvin. AIDS. 48 years. Okay, he's 48 years old. He's my dad's age, pretty much. Childbearing AIDS. What is the average? What is the average childbearing age? Like, so he's not wanting to meet someone who's like 70 or 80.
I mean,
I don't think he's hoping for someone
saying,
like.
Yeah, he's saying basically like half his age, basically, is his range, and it's like, it's like technically speaking, that's not quite creepy, but it is a little weird.
It's look, you could easily phrase it. I want someone around my age or younger. Like that's one way to play that. But when you say childbearing AIDS, because you believe life could come out of death, it's like, okay, so you're already saying you want more kids, and it's like your wife just died 5 months ago, and you're already thinking about your second wife and your second set of kids. That just seems very.
I mean, to be totally fair though, like if you go back like 100 years, that would not be like a terribly uncommon situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like very weird in the age of modern medicine where people don't remarry because they're married for like, I forget what the average marriage lasts now, but assuming it doesn't end in divorce, in which case both people just typically go find new partners.
Yeah,
most people now are married for so long that when they're done, they're sort of done. Like with modern medicine and everything, like when you become a widow or a widow, you're 70 or 80. And at that, I mean, you might go back, but you're certainly not starting a new family. You're just like finding a companion in your later years.
Yeah. Okay. So from now on, when we read this, let's read it as potential suitors. So let's imagine, how would a woman of childbearing age read this, and what would you take away from it if your friends said, "Hey, honey, check this out," and he's saying to you, I don't know how women talk. I don't talk to women. But I'm going to text this to you as a girl and say, "Yo, you should hit him up or something." So let's read it like that. Besides, I was visiting a university the other day, corrupting the youth as one does, and a friend of my host was being dropped off by his mom. She thought I was one of her son's friend. We may have some Nazgul genes or something, maybe from my 107-year-old grandmother. Okay, if you were a 30-something-year-old woman and someone texted you to say you should hit him up, what would be your reaction to that post?
All that I can think of is literally Rothbard's description of the modal libertarian, which I know doesn't actually apply to Yarvin, but at the same time, it's literally what I think of. It's like, living at home wondering what's going on. Like, oh no, why does society oppress me so much? It's like, because you don't do what society wants. It's like saying, oh, I get mistaken for someone half my age is not that's not usually something you aim for,
especially when you're 48.
As someone who has alternatively been pegged at times as 10 years older or younger than I am.
How old are you? I can't guess. I'm looking at you.
I'm 28.
20. Okay, I'm 23. So you're
so like my students were like, "You're in your late 30s, right?" And it's like, wrong. And all my coworkers were like, "You're fresh out of college, right?" And it's like, technically kind of true for 1 year, but like then when I had already been teaching a few years, people still thought like I was fresh out of college, and it's like, no, I'm older than you think I am, but younger than my students think I am. But you don't necessarily want to be mistaken for someone younger, especially I would say in a dating profile, especially given that men tend to increase in value as they age, maybe not the best thing to put out there.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I was gotta say, it's especially the whole line about corrupting the use. Like that is, come on, dude. Like,
well,
yeah,
I think that's that's a reference to Socrates. Is it Socrates? Gosh, I'm
yeah,
gonna
no,
hate myself if I got
that's what he got
this wrong.
started with, corrupting the use. And I mean, first of all, I just again weird to like in a dating hint. Like I've tried doing the whole like intellectual smart thing on Tinder because I am desperate. I've tried everything. I have gone through every systematic like I have googled 12 different kind of intros. And okay, let's try this one, this one, and this one, this one, this one. Not gonna work. I'm convinced it's because of this. But it's just like it's so Tinder is so fucking weird. Dating apps are weird.
Yeah, I think this is an example of telling a joke that fits you and not your audience.
Yeah,
you know, because there's an audience that if like and probably actually Yarvin's ordinary audience, if you said, you know, corrupting the youth as it were, you know, like half of that audience would get the reference, they'd be laughing and chuckling, and the other half, you know, maybe it wouldn't fly so well with them, but they'd at least be like marginally receptive to it. But like here it's just weird.
Very weird. No, I would say dating profiles. I would joke about do you use dating apps at all yourself, or you avoid those things? No, good for you. Good on you, my man.
I do not. I keep as much of my life offline as possible, except for posting spicy things on Twitter, which is ironic because I will probably at some point get in trouble for posting spicy things on Twitter, and people generally seem to get away with living a lot of their life online with very few regrets. So it's like I'm like the inverse of what you should do, in the sense of I have spicy tweets up. Like the other day,
I'm never gonna get a real job. My Facebook and Twitter, if someone goes through it, I'm never gonna get a real job.
Oh, you'd be surprised how much people don't really check that. Like the other day, I posted in Uncle Ted motivational quote, and it didn't get much response. I think partly because my Twitter profile is pretty small, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like
I have, for me on dating apps, I have the I can never tell what kind of person I'm talking to, because you're talking to some people on Tinder, and some people out there are just there for the fuck, you know, and some of them are actually for a relationship, and I can never tell which one I'm dealing with. And so I'll ask a very bland question, and I'll say things like, "So tell me about yourself. What do you do for fun?" You know, and I'll get like an answer. You know, sometimes the girl will be like, "Oh, I like going to church, and I like to read my Bible." And some girls would be. I had one girl. She literally said Japanese rope bondage, and I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" See, open the chat with Japanese rope bondage. It's like I don't know how to proceed in this conversation when your baseline is Japanese rope bondage.
One thing is, and I will say this, and this applies back to Yarvin as well, there's such a thing as filtering, you know, and so sometimes you do something where you know it's not necessarily the optimal like broad strategy in terms of catching as much as you would, but you're just like going for, I want to scare off people. I mean, it's basically Michael Malice's tweeting strategy of, if you don't like this, I don't want you following me, go away.
Yeah. But don't match with a profile and try to see him off.
Yeah. But you know, it is one of those things where it's like, if you filter, you save yourself a lot of time and angst down the road, because you just basically say, here's who I am. If you don't like it, I'm not.
I lost 6 followers over the past 2 days of posting. I don't know what it was, because if I knew what it was, I'd do it again.
I don't even pay attention to my analytics.
I only noticed it because I was at 569, and I was like, nice, right there. That's what I want to say. I need to get follow within 10 follower intervals. Did drop down again. I was like, well, shit. Anyway, next line.
Yeah.
If you fit this bill and are reasonably pretty and pretty smart, and have read my work and like it, oh, that's a prerequisite. You have to have read his work. It's like you need to read my writings and enjoy it, and then we can have a conversation. It's like it's like he's trying to date a fan. He's trying to be a rock star and date a fan. Oh my god. Okay. And you think the purpose of dating is to get married and have kids? Just respond to this email or the sign-up email, unless I'm already attached to someone else. We'll do a half-hour Zoom date. Easy, quick, no pressure. The pictures of me online are pretty accurate. That's not my laptop, but it is my jacket.
See, I feel like that could backfire though, because I mean, on one hand, I don't know how he's done it, but like Yarvin has been very influential while also not catching flack for anything.
Yeah.
But like, I would think if you're saying just find the photos of me online, but like potentially you get very unflattering images. You know, like I just googled Yarvin to see
Okay, no, I'm gonna do that too now.
Let's to see what images come up, and like there's images from like Vox that are like him from side profile and not flattering.
I'm gonna save the new screen of images, and we're gonna go through and pick 5 for his dating profile.
Yeah, okay, but basically, like, yeah, like if you're saying just look up images of me, basically, you know, and for what it's worth, like I don't even think Yarvin's like ugly or anything. I just think you can get
Okay, so I'm gonna say
you're playing a dangerous game there.
That one should definitely be on the dating profile pick. Definitely that one he actually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie,
yeah,
like, that's a good photo
like,
of him.
That's an author book cover photo if I've ever seen one. Like that is a great
that
photo.
One I would use. I would definitely. What the fuck is? What is he,
like,
a Terminator?
On one hand, like on one hand, that may be somewhat out of character, but on the other hand, like
it's completely
you have to give kudos for that.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That is my favorite. Oh my god. You know what? Hold on. I'm making this my profile. I'm making this my wallpaper on my computer now. Hold on. Let me just save that image because that is becoming my wallpaper. That is. I absolutely. Oh, I love it. Okay. Look at his face. His eyes.
Yeah.
Look at his...
Oh.
I love.
Yeah, like
he's such a weird guy. I love him.
Yeah, like that's the sort of thing. Again, I mentioned, you know, physics, math, dual major. Like on one hand, like he can totally pull off a look when he wants to, but if you're not paying attention to like presentation, it can really
the Yarvin drip. That is what that is. Yeah. Yes, the Yarvin drip goat guy. That is. That is. You're right. Okay, so let's do a few more photos for his profile pic. I'd say this one.
Do the Tucker Carlson one. That would be.
Yes, that is. Oh my gosh, his hair. Look, I'm growing my hair out. It's not pretty, you know. It's I'm just fucking lazy, but still, I mean, this is not so bad compared to. Maybe I'm balding at the top, and so it's really awkwardly lengths. But
if you if you don't want to look like a Harry Potter character, don't grow long hair without a beard.
Yeah.
Unless you have something you're gonna do with it. Like,
I mean, no, honestly, he used to do the warrior ponytail. Just like the warrior ponytail.
No,
They
like
just walk around
that
like
was
that.
that was actually where I was going. Because it's like, on one hand, like, it's maybe not the most like traditionally masculine look, but like, if you're gonna pull off just untamed long hair, you need to have a beard or something with it.
That jacket is his, but not the laptop.
I mean, I will say this though, like, as far as pulling off a vibe, he has a vibe.
He has the vibe. It's he is such his own thing. I mean,
but yeah, I mean, and I mean, ultimately, I mean, that is one of those things where if you wanted to make yourself a brand, as it were, because I mean, that's really what he's trying to do here. If you did want to make yourself a brand, having a distinctive, iconic look is how you do it.
Yes.
So I mean, totally, I think that, but we're almost out of time, right?
Yeah, we gotta finish this reading up. Okay.
We only have 3 paragraphs left.
Yeah, well, let's try to get through this. Oh, this has been fun. Okay, here you go. Obviously, it's okay to come with kids, dogs, etc. I probably don't live in your city, but I will fly anywhere for a date. I'm sorry.
Little
flying
desperate.
for love. Yeah, like I'm flying for a date. That's.
I will say though, I think that's actually a very clever flex, because it's a way of saying I'm not hurting for money without flashing cash. Because what you're saying is, I will fly out to go on dates with people. How many people can afford to do that?
That's a good point. He's flexing a little bit. You haven't got the flex going.
And so he's very low key flexing in a way that's also not going to attract people who are just interested in money.
He's got the drip. He's got the flex.
Yeah, because I will fly out for a date is very different from I will shower you in riches, and so it's one of those things where it's like a good prenup where people are like, oh, you don't need a prenup. It's like, no, it's perfectly legitimate to get a prenup because things happen, and even if it just comes down to like, if we both die, what happens to our assets?
Well, I'm Catholic, and so we don't believe in divorce. So I can't condone prenups on this show. But I'm kidding. I absolutely condone and encourage prenups.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I think they're used as sort of a fallback for divorce, but I think you should also look into it as like, well, it's a good way to get potential legal issues out of the way up front of saying like, here's how we're going to handle property and stuff.
I feel you go, guy. I mean, listen, the late night pillow talk would be a lot of fun. That's all I'm gonna say. It'd be like we'd be going at it. You'd be like, call me a royalist. It's like, okay.
And as spectrum warning light as this is, setting off the spectrum detector. Really, he is, like, as far as getting the information out there, he's not doing a bad job. No, I don't know. I don't know how much that's actually in a way with his target audience.
If he ever gets remarried or posts a photo with his on a date, we're all gonna know it came from this. Like, and that's just gonna be the funniest thing is if he ever does get remarried and posts a photo of his wife, we're gonna all be like, "Damn, see, Red Dad was like, this is the guy." That's just gonna make it even better. He is living the meme. I love it. Here you go. Certainly easier on the West Coast, though I am not broke and know a lot of cool people. And my kids, ages 10 to 13, are charming and talented. I feel bad for the guy. He's got a 10 and a 13-year-old at home. His wife just died. That's gotta suck.
Well, and I mean, really good information to go in with if you want to make sure the relationship works too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, if he had taken the key information out of this and put it into a dating profile, it would be a good dating profile.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
like
I'm pretty sure if I use that photo of me in another jacket like that, I would get some. You know, like that's not a bad
exactly.
photo.
Like he knows imaging and branding really well. It's just weird that he's doing it this way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because like when I went back from a master's, I had to take marketing classes,
Mm.
and it's like, to me, this looks like great marketing applied like outside where you would normally see it applied.
Dude,
You know?
imagine if he was on, like, when he was on Fox News, imagine if he plugged it. I mean, he plugged his Substack. I wish to God he plugged this one. Like,
And I'm looking for a new wife, and I've posted details if anyone's interested.
yeah, imagine I think he's on the out, and he's just like, I'm also looking for a wife with my wife. My wife just died. I'm looking for a new one. My details are on my Substack. And it's like, I mean, I think now the only way he's gonna do so is in the future is to try to get a wife.
Well, and I think another thing though is like it is sort of comical from the outside, but it is also something like he's I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like, have you ever read Snow Crash?
I'm not.
It's so like one of the ideas that they have is it's sort of cyberpunk. One of the things that they talk about is how like you have like sort of magic words and that programmers are like the reincarnations of ancient shamans as applied to technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's like from that perspective, like he really is kind of a little bit of a sorcerer in terms of like doing things saying things in the world responds to them.
Mm.
And so it's like when you consider it from that way, it makes the whole dating profile post on my blog thing that he did seem a little less weird.
I can see that.
Because
He's
it's
trying
like
to get something out of this.
It's a little bit of the hammer and nail approach of like when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When all you have is a blog, everything looks like a post. Which, I mean, to be fair, I have seen people do that in really crazy ways over the years.
I mean, I do it on Twitter at this point. Every so I have goes on Twitter. Like I just randomly I'll be tweeting at things like do you ever listen to Slup Gang podcast, Slup Gang pod?
Not often. I'm still sort of going through all the podcasts because there's so dang many of them.
Yeah,
and I can never remember which
at this
ones.
Point, there are only like 5 podcasts I listen to nowadays. I have friends who do podcasts. I listen to them live, but they're not like podcasts on my go-to rotation. You know. Excuse me. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Also, if I sleep with you, that means I'm committed to you. Which doesn't mean we won't break up. It's just that I won't discard you emotionally or something, and I certainly won't be dating anyone else. And I'll convert to anything for the right girl. No coats, please.
I get that that's supposed to be somewhat funny as a final reference, but it's like you just said anything, and then you said, it's like that. Was it? I forget the name, but it's, I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yeah, it's like
it's like
I'll do anything for love. Get off.
You did say anything,
I won't do that.
Except not.
Yeah, it's this guy. I just absolutely love that he's just like if you read this, let's read it as if it was a text, okay?
Well, and
I will convert to anything for the right girl. No coats, please. It's like that is very desperate sounding.
It's certainly the it's the beta Tucker Carlson hair versus the Chad leather jacket photo shoot. Like it's more that vibe than and I do think it's supposed to be taken somewhat humorously, and I'm picking on him for something that was sort of a throwaway joke, but at the same time, like the throwaway joke, didn't really, like, I don't know. There's an expense to the joke.
Yeah. Okay. Let's read this last paragraph. I have a few questions about this whole thing. Okay. And if you're not a smart, pretty female looking for marriage, you could still email me with personal, not political. There will be 2 months of that questions. Although, frankly, grade meal readers being a pretty put-together bunch, my most common response is just that the question indicates one who already knows the answer. Okay, So out of all these paragraphs in this post, what's paragraph is the only one on his dating profile, you think? Because for me, I'm guessing it'd probably be the third one. This one. Not this one. Hold on. This one. Like if he was gonna be on a wait, there it is. Like if he was going to be on a dating app, this would be the thing. And he'd have all his photos, and he'd have like and said, what do you think? What's one do you think would be his?
I think that is probably the best. That or the next one. If you had to do just a one paragraph like Twitter bio dating profile, if you fit the bill paragraph
the slight flex about
the flex about flying and the reference to already having kids are critically important for a dating profile, because those really would be probably deal breakers. For a lot of people would be, well, I don't want to marry someone who can't financially support me, and also not want to marry into a relationship with kids and be surprised by it.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like people I know made a lot of fun of Yarvin for this. And it is to quote the thing the kids are saying these days, cringe.
Quinspilled.
But it is also at the same time like you can tell why he's doing it. And as unusual as it is, and as like crazy as it is, it's actually like if you were gonna pull it off, this is how you'd pull it off, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that the next step of dating is Substack. We're gonna have.
I'm gonna make a Substack now just for dating. Just gonna call me. I'm lonely.
I kind of feel like that would be in a perfect like meme though.
That would be a good
the
meme.
Substack dating profile.
Look, memes are superior to reality. I'm just gonna say it. You look at the news and the best
magic, right?
Yes, the best part about the news is when they report on a meme, because that's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and it's like random laser eye people on Twitter can pull off things that you would never expect them to.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it is sort of the it's like this de-hierarchization of society in many ways.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's the right way to describe it.
Well,
but I mean, like, it's like you log on Twitter, you're followed by people, and it's like, holy crap, that person's actually significant. Like, every once in a while that'll happen. I don't know if I have any blue checks following me, but I certainly have people where it's like they are interesting, and some of them follow pretty easily. I
got a Tom Woods follow. What's his my favorite one?
I am very jealous of that.
Yeah, I have a photo on my phone of all when someone cool follows me, I screenshot it and I have a cool photo of all my favorite people who follow me. I got some. It's fun. It's a weird thing I do. I'm just like, I'm trying to get all the post-lib guys to follow me, and I got all of them, but Matt Erickson to follow me. And so if I get him to follow me, I'll post a meme, and it's gonna be the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's gonna be the name of each one, and it's gonna be like, I've got them all.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for that last one.
And sometimes it's like you're like every once in a while you'll find someone who like. I'm trying to think if there's someone. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now trying to find it, because there was someone today where it's like, really small account that just post absolute top tier tweets. So
Excuse me.
yeah, so sometimes it's just fun because there's like one or two people who are just really cool. Um, and like nowhere to be seen in terms of like profile, but they're just really cool. Sorry, trying to look through to find that account so I can shout them out, but I'm going to stop because I can't find them. I do see the comment in chat: "Racist Twitter frogs will inherit the world."
Oh yeah.
And
you know, I gotta
like,
get Gold Guy back on again because he is an absolute blast. You know what? Hey, Gold Guy, you busy? I got a little bit of time. Let me do something real quick here.
As weird and crazy as that sounds, like it's probably not actually that far from the truth. You know, like I do think, like as sort of chaotic and weird as things sound, like, well, especially like, I used to be really into like, crypto and stuff and like alternate social networks, even though I've sort of stopped caring about those as much because they're not really a good use of your time. And I'm sure if any decentralized people were watching this, I would be harassed for the next week or two because of that. It's not that I don't want them to be improved because I think they should be more popular than like Twitter and Facebook. But you know, like it's really funny sometimes how like hierarchy can emerge in these like very small communities.
Yeah, no, it is. I gotta say, watching Twitter has given me a better understanding of a lot of things. Like you see hierarchies in Twitter very easily. You know, you see people who are like the low level circle of podcasting people. You know, and they'll be more popular on Twitter, not by the numbers, but by the interactions. You know, like you see a verified person post, and they get like 5 follows or 5 likes. And you see someone who is literally just a shit poster with a frog for a profile pic and laser eyes, and they'll get like a couple hundred interactions. And it's like, you don't have that many followers. But you just get, when people retweet you, you get the interaction. And it's it's fun to see because of these people who are just kind of like Nick Astley, you know, or he's a great shit poster, you know, or people like Rabbi J or Ace, and they'll post these really funny ass memes. And you're just like, you're dying of laughter. And you're like, wait, who is this guy? Oh, yeah, he's just a guy who read some books and hopped on Twitter. You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, and like it's really sort of interesting because there's like an inversion where sometimes people who are actually quite significant in real life, like, have basically no presence on Twitter, even though they can be rather active.
Yeah.
Just because they don't do the Twitter thing really well.
Yeah, they don't know how to really use it.
Sometimes you see people and it's just like totally random. Like, I'm trying to think. I think Neocon Remover got removed, right?
Did he? That sucks. He has some. I hope not. He has some of my favorite tweets. Let me look.
Or maybe he's just doing a Twitter break. Yeah,
I hate it when he does those.
The pinned tweet on his account right now is it's called "We Do a Little Twitter Break," and someone was maybe on him with like news story about biting someone at Costco or something. Which, if that is actually what happened, it's hilarious. But also the like most surreal Twitter crossover to real life ever.
No, it's just something to say where it's like when these I've never got to meet any of these people in person. Thankfully I live in Florida, and so a lot of people come into Tom Wood's 2000th episode event, and I'm gonna go, and I'm looking forward to meeting some of these people because it's gonna be it's gonna be fun.
I wish I could.
Yeah, I got lucky. I live in Florida, so it's like an hour and a half drive, and so I want to be. I can't wait. And when they had the civil form debates here, oh my gosh, was that fun! I got a signed book I got a signed copy of one of your own books, which was just cool and fun.
Yeah, I that's the one sort of downside of nowadays is like now that I'm hanging out with the libertarians more, it's like they're all in other states because I live in Arizona, which has libertarians, but
it's Arizona. I've never been to Arizona, but isn't that the city in King of the Hill when they got there? They were like, "This is built as a monument to God's arrogance." I mean, this man's arrogance to God, because no one's lived there because it's so hot.
Yes, that is actually more or less the most accurate portrayal of sorry, my brain's failing. The most accurate portrayal of Phoenix in any fictional media. Because I do not kid you, it's like 100, and I can actually check on my watch really quick. It's at least 90 something degrees today.
Ooh,
which sorry, no, it's 106. It's not humid.
Well, that's good. I if it's hot, I could deal with it. If it's humid, I'm out. I live in Florida here, and it gets humid.
Well,
bad in the state.
The secret is to just pray that during monsoon season it cools down. Because if it cools during the monsoon season, which is almost every year, that when the monsoons come in, it's just also cooler. It's really nice. If it stays warm and humid, like it did for a couple weeks this year. Nice. But I mean, the great thing about low humidity is if you can avoid the sun, it's pretty easy.
Hello. Go guys hopping in the chat. How do you pronounce your name?
My name? Kieran.
Yeah. Kieran, okay. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Pardon the bathrobe I was working out.
Fair enough. You got a Rocky robe now, you got the Victor's robe.
Yeah. Just a bit more comfortable.
I bet. So we're talking about where we live and how terrible some places are, and I'm sure you win because you live in EU, and so I'm sure you're gonna win with living in the worst place ever.
Actually, we're out of the EU because I live in Scotland.
Oh, Scotland's not part of the EU. That's right. Well, good. You live in the second shitty part now of it. You live in.
I was gonna say Scotland's just like wanting to get back into the EU, though, right?
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck because Scotland's secessionist movement is actually for centralization of power and joining a supranational cabal.
They just don't like England. they want to leave England and join the EU, which is
that's dumb as shit. That sucks. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard about any. I've heard some doozies about government agencies and political people, but damn, it's like we're a success in this movement who wants to join the EU.
Yeah, the Scottish independence movement is just fucking poisonous.
Oh my god. Oh, that's funny. That is. I can't get over that.
Well, and one of the issues with Arizona is, other than John McCain, a lot of our Republicans have been quite libertarian over the years. And so the Libertarian Party here, as a consequence, has sort of festered. Because sort of that thing of like where you have good Republicans, you don't have good libertarians often.
I live in Florida. Was the best Republican, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, I was going to say
I don't want libertarians here. I don't want them here.
Yeah, I forget who it was. He was on Pete Quinones, and he was quite emotional about like if you try and primary DeSantis, I'll never forgive you, and people were giving him grief about it, and it's like, well,
popular liberty.
Actually, yeah, popular.
He's
liberty.
white.
It's like he is. Well, and
good.
Part of the thing also is like strategically, is DeSantis actually all that good in terms of like, could you purity check him and find that he's really not libertarian in the slightest? Yeah, you probably could. But also there's the question of, what do you want to reward? Do you want to reward Republicans who are libertarian leaning, like Ron Paul and Rand Paul, who are and Thomas Massey, who, are not necessarily perfect, Rothbardian and Capistan in your head, but are legitimately good. And if you reward them, you'll get
all I
closer
care
to
about
that.
when it comes to governors, the only thing that matters is COVID. That's it. That's the only thing
Yeah,
that matters. I don't care if they're bad on drugs. I don't care if they're bad on foreign policy. If you're a governor, I want you to be good on COVID. And ain't nobody better than Ron DeSantis. I have him come on my show, actually. Popular Liberty, Andrew. He's coming on my show in about 15 days. It's going to be a lot of fun. And my friends on Twitter knew he's coming on my show, and they were tweeting him and saying, you got to push him on this. You got to push back and tell him that he's wrong on this. I'm like, I can't because he's right. I quote tweet him. I'm like, you might not like it, but he's right. And I lost some followers because they were like, how dare you say you shouldn't want a libertarian? And it's like, no, you shouldn't want a libertarian.
And the thing about it that just drives me crazy is, like, if you don't realize that people not being able to work because they don't have the vaccine is going to be just absolutely devastating. Like, I'm at a place right now that has nominally a mandate. And I am vaccinated, but I'm not going to comply with it because screw that. Like, I just don't think it's morally right to mandate vaccination. And nowadays, if I had the decision now to go back and be vaccinated from being unvaccinated, I'm not sure I would do it, given what we've been seeing from, like, the evidence and whatnot. And like back when I got it, there was this whole, well, which vaccines are acceptable for Christians to take? And they were like, oh, the Pfizer and Moderna are fine. Well, it turns out maybe not as fine as people pretended it was. And so it's like, well, now I have a harder time going back and doing it. And so it's like, if you're going to mandate and not provide a religious exemption, you've basically said that you don't want me as an employee anyway. And it's actually kind of weird because my job has had a vaccine mandate in force, and I have not shown them my papers. And I know people have openly fought with them again about it, and they have not been fired or anything yet. And, like, it was supposed to go into effect a couple of weeks ago. So, like, theoretically, but at the same time, it's like I show up every day to work thinking, is this the day when they're like, hey, grab your stuff and go home because you don't work here anymore? It's like, on one hand, that's sort of in, sort of Damocles, and it's rough because I do enjoy my job. And, it's not the best paying thing I could probably be doing, but I enjoy it, and that maybe makes it more worth doing.
Well, Queen, Karen. I actually want to call you Karen, so I'm going to call you Goldie. Goldie. What about in Scotland? That shit. So, what's the vaccine? And is there any mandates in Scotland? 'Cause I don't pretend in EU politics. So,
last I checked, they're not forcing them just yet. But I think it's probably building toward that. They've already started the propaganda about the pandemic of the unvaccinated, and first they said we're not going to bring in vaccine passports. Then they said, okay, we are going to bring in vaccine passports. Recently they went back on that and said they're not actually going to do it, but now they've said that they'll consider it during the winter if cases significantly rise, which means they will. I'm willing to bet there is going to be another lockdown in the autumn, or actually it is autumn, in the autumn or winter.
You gotta get out of there. You gotta get out of there. Look, man,
I'm not planning on being in Scotland for too much longer.
You gotta find a way to get to America. I mean, I'm against immigration because I'm a Hoppian, but you get a pass.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't actually care about immigration. I care about the people who take my tax money deciding to give it to more people. It's like, you don't get to be the arbiter who comes here and who doesn't. Like, as someone who, I mean, I grew up very cosmopolitan lifestyle, and that's actually one of my minor disagreements with Hoppe, in the sense of, like, I'm not open borders. Like, I'm very much sort of on the Dave Smith side of the issue. In fact, I actually have a Substack post about it, in which I basically say you cannot permit immigration because it's stolen property, and you need to return that stolen property. And then immigration is a non-issue because there's no distinction between citizen and non-citizen. Like, I don't care if they're not littering in my yard and they're not threatening me, not doing anything undesirable, I don't care. Like, I literally do not care where you come from or anything like that.
Yeah.
As long as you're a good neighbor. And I think that's one of the things that some of the more pure Hoppian types ignore. I mean, even in Democracy, the God That Failed, where Hoppe says some kind of spicy stuff, he's very clear, like, it's not no immigration. It's you only let people immigrate who have agreed to participate in your social program.
Yeah.
And so if you have the libertarian social order, anyone who wants to participate should be free to come here. And I've seen some Hoppians who take that in a direction that I don't think Hoppe would, though I'm not Hoppe, so I'm not going to speak for him. But it's like,
I love that Hoppe does not know nor does he care about a Hoppian memes or modern Hoppian movement. Like, I doubt he even knows what anime is. Well, I love it. I love how he's not involved.
Hoppe has acknowledged the memes. He carries around a helicopter. Yeah, and actually, he was at a dinner once where they did a whole presentation about internet culture.
I'm taking down a Star Wars poster, and I'm gonna put up a Hoppe poster. I'm gonna put out a Hoppe meme and just put it right there on my wall. Like, that's what it's gonna do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't there a photo with like Hoppe and I think Kinsella? And Hoppe has a helicopter.
Oh, I had Kinsella on to sew, and I love that dude. He is fun. He did a Bernie Sanders impression, and it was absolutely hilarious. Like, he just went off on a tangent about Bernie Sanders and did some impressions, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I actually I forgot which Kinsella thing I read, but I read one of Kinsella's things, and it's really interesting, like a Rothbardian approach or post-Rothbardian approach to intellectual property.
Yeah, he's good.
I don't know if
in my mind on intellectual property.
Yeah, there was a Twitter beef between sort of I'm not sure what you would describe him as, kind of more traditional right-winger, who does like Austrian economics, but not Austro-libertarian social stuff, and Radical Liberation, who's more of a traditional sort of ANCAP. And one of the things that he comes up is like, well, what about Star Wars? Can I just make my own crappy Star Wars movie? It's like, well, A, that is the way they've been going with the series. And B, well, it's fraud if you do that. It's like, really all you need to enforce for consumer protection is fraud. Like, you can't claim to be someone you're not, and you can't deliberately pass yourself off as someone else. So it's like, if you make a Star Wars movie that's perfect Star Wars, it doesn't matter whether it's you or George Lucas under a Rothbardian intellectual property thing. It's so long as people don't feel ripped off.
The point where any kind of enforcement, I think, comes in is when there are lies. If I write a Star Wars movie and say that I'm actually George Lucas and present as such, that's obviously fraud. If I make a shitty Star Wars movie in my backyard and no one likes it, I mean, who gives a shit? It's not like it's not like George Lucas is losing any money from my efforts. No, that's entirely his own.
Guys, sorry to end it while this Go guy pretty much hopped in, but I got something to do. My this kid my mom used to babysit can now play video games online and wants to play video games online tonight. And so I got to hop on and play Marvel Ultimate Alliance with a 7-year-old because he can't beat the level. So go ahead and plug your stuff, let people know where they can find you at, and then we'll wrap it up.
Right. I always have to repeatedly read my Twitter handle because I can never remember
numbers,
it.
am I right?
Yeah, it was. It just gave me randomly generated numbers alongside Gold Guy, and I just said, yeah, sure, I'll never have to plug my social media or anything. At Gold Guy 04075912. So follow the sexiest man alive.
I won't deny it. You and Yarv got that drip.
Yeah.
K, Mr. Professional Writer K.
Yeah, I've got my
Where can people find you?
Twitter handle. That's also my website. You just replace KWright or at with .com at the end. You'll get to my website, which I don't update terribly often. And really, I mean, my Twitter has everything. It has my Substack and my website listed. That's really, since I'm hoping to, fingers crossed, I have a new computer coming, and then that should maybe open up doing videos and stuff more often.
Awesome.
And I'm hoping to maybe start doing some stuff on Odyssey. But yeah, that's basically anything that I do, you'll be able to find there. Mostly low quality memes.
I love low quality
or
memes.
high quality memes retweeted from people who already follow.
Grassroots meme wars.
Let's do it.
This is how
We're
we
gonna-
win.
I want to meme. We see the memes of production. I want to meme. Honestly, I want to meme Ron DeSantis to stay as the governor, and I want to meme Dave Smith on the CNN. That's all I want to do. Like, you know, I get I'm a paleo guy. I don't support the Mises Caucus, but I support Dave Smith getting on every news show ever just to destroy all the newscasters who kind of come out with that basic libertarian ass. Like, you know, that's like, so what? You know, the people that have driver's license, I want him to go be like, actually, we should bomb people in Yemen. And just like, so up. I want to see that. That's all I care about right now, is seeing him do that shit.
And the best part is having people who are child enough, when asked, you don't want people to have driver's license, and they just say, yeah, no, I think that's an infringement on their liberties.
Yeah,
like,
I love it.
I'm sorry, if you're operating a car, you have enough incentive not to get in a car accident. The idea that a little piece of plastic is going to make the difference is absurd.
Yeah. It's I had to go to the DMV the other day, and they had a sign for the parking lot that said only customers can park here. I'm like, how fucking dare you call me a customer when you mandate that I be here to pay your shitty tax?
Oh shit! Actually, I just got a tax refund.
Oh,
Fucking
you got
winning.
some money back.
Oh well, aren't we lucky?
Look at you getting money back from the government.
Yeah, but the only way to get it immediately is to sign up for the online tax management thing. So fuck that. So I'm just gonna have to wait 6 weeks to get a check in the mail.
Nice.
Which is really peak government efficiency.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And obviously just deliberate, and trying to drive people to sign up for their fucking social credit system. Not that they're calling it that.
Of course not. I'm honestly upset that things aren't getting cool names. You know, like you read 1984, things have cool names. You know, everything we have now is just a bunch of numbers and letters and anagrams. It looks like Gold Guy's Twitter handle. It's just.
No, really, I was told the dystopian future would have more neon lights.
I was really hoping for some cyberpunk, like Blade Runner shit, and we're getting this dystopian nonsense. Give it a C, give it a B, not B, a D minus. It's not exciting.
Yeah, like at the very least, can it at least be raining 80% of the time?
Can swords make a comeback as some kind of super advanced cybernetic implant weapon, please?
Yes.
Well, if you saw the Met Gala last night.
I did not. I avoided anything at this point now. I get my news from the memes a day later. You know, that's how I get my news, because I'm not watching or paying attention to anything else.
No, evidently there's a place that will like make swords from guns as like a gun buyback sort of thing. Except I'm just tempted to buy a cheapo, like absolute crappy AR-15 just to get it forged into a sword. Just for the memes.
I've seen this people making pen guns when they make a little pen into a gun that fires, and I saw someone say pen gun mightier than the sword gun.
But
sword guns were actually a thing.
Oh god, I want one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
pity, but
okay.
It's like
we said we were gonna end it, and we kept going. I've got somewhere to be. This has been a lot of fun. Guys, come follow me on Twitter at CalebBrown549. Subscribe to the podcast, hit notification bell. I got a podcast coming out with Gold Guy Saturday. I got one coming out with Jason Stapleton Thursday. My friend Isaac, we're going to talk about religion. It's going to be great. And I got one with Jose Galison to explain agorism like I'm 5. It's going to be a lot of podcasts this week. You better hit the notification bell. I don't want to miss a thing. Okay, everybody, have a good night and read a book.